Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another edition of the Sideline Junkies Tuesday Night Flight. It's me, it's the big guy KG, sitting in with none other than the fat poet himself, the Midnight Rider. You muted yourself there, buddy.
Nothing. I think I'm on some kind of delay.
Oh,
because I got the countdown music. I can hear the countdown music in my feed. Yeah, don't ask me, man. Sorry about that.
He has to get new gerbils, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I thought we hooked them up, man.
Ah, shit. I thought we did too. But first and foremost, how you feeling this evening?
Good, man. Just been running ragged. So trying to get settled, get this in, grab something to eat, and then call it a night. Watch these Lakers.
I'm already there with you. I've been asleep since about 2-something. I got off work about 10:30 this morning and got home at about 11. Took me a shower, ate me a bowl of cereal, watched a couple episodes of Bel-Air, and I went to sleep. I woke up and was like, damn, it's still early. It's still daylight outside. I still got time. I looked at the clock and said 7:15. I was like, let me go get ready for this show. I ain't mean to sleep that long.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah, most definitely. Something I forgot on Sunday. I meant to say something about this on Sunday. The Milwaukee Bucks were eliminated over the weekend. Number 1 seed, they were eliminated over the weekend. People were ripping Coach Budenholzer, but he was dealing with death in the family. He was coaching with a heavy heart. You know, you never know what somebody's going through, and you want to sit there and you want to criticize them about a performance or lack of a performance. Ain't nobody got time for that, man. Number 2, the question that was really, I felt was disrespectful to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Where the reporter asked him, was this a failure? And what he said was right. He said, Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. Are you telling me that the other 9 years he played were failures? Like, you ask me this question every year. And I got kind of pissed off. Because I'm like, yeah, why? If you don't make a championship run, is it a failure? How many greats didn't make championship runs? So would you ask Jerry West the 8 times he lost in the finals? Were those 8 years failures? Or would you still consider him one of the greatest guards in history? Would he still be Mr. Clutch? Would he still be the logo? You know, I don't know where they find these reporters, but if you don't know your history, and this goes for any sport, you don't know your history of the game, and this whole thing of, you know, you have to demean somebody because they didn't win a championship. It's plenty of great players that didn't win championships. So these debates where you're comparing, well, Jordan got 6, LeBron only got 4. He lost in the final. Who the fuck cares? Enjoy it. Trust me, because you're going to be in a situation that I'm in now. I miss watching Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. I miss watching those guys play. Now, pretty soon, I miss Kobe playing. I miss Shaq playing. I miss D Wade. Now, pretty soon, it's going to be I miss LeBron. Enjoy these guys while you got them. Stop with the disrespectful questioning. Stop with the disrespectful comparisons. Stop with all of it. I'm on my soapbox early, but I'm off it now.
So I get the question. I get the frustration with the question. I think that's today's media. I think our media, we're in such a world where we're so quick to compare everything. But this hasn't been really a good year for number 1 seeds. Paid attention in hockey. The Bruins just lost. You just had the Bucks lose. In the NCAAs, none of the number 1s made it to the Final Four. So this really hasn't been a good year to be the 1 seed. So that might not be what it's all cracked up to be. The question, I get it. I mean, some of these guys come in trying to make their name. Like, I used to get mad sometimes with the DC media because I felt like everybody was asking the question. That next question I was going to get them to ESPN, not the next question to get them information. So that's how I feel at times. And I think this guy was kind of pushing the button. He knew where he was. He knows he's asked this before, so he was just pushing Giannis buttons to see what kind of response he gets.
I think it was a real shit show of a question. I'll say that.
You mean it was a clown question, bro?
Yeah, classic Bryce Harper. That was a clown question, bro. And I don't like it. I don't like, you want to be edgy and all this other stuff. I don't like that. Do your job. Hey, what are you planning to do for the off season? So this doesn't happen again. Are you going to work out and hit this and hit that? And Giannis has got to be one of my favorite players. He has to be, because there's no way in four hells this dude has evolved from what he's evolved from and become an MVP candidate. Well, he's won the MVP twice already. Once or
something
twice.
Like that.
And just to see where he came from, this little skinny, real thin dude hit the weight room and worked on his game. People said he couldn't shoot jumpers last season. He came back this season, worked on the jump over the summer. He got a little decent jumper now. But I don't see a reason why he should stop taking people to the rack. If you can't stop it, why the hell am I going to stop? So,
nah, great point. And that's part of the problem with this game. I watched the video last night. Kobe was talking in an interview, and one of the things he talked about was his daughter and what people were teaching. He was like, the problem with the way they teach basketball now is they teach you all the difficult stuff and don't get you solid in the basics. And what he said was he did the basics and he made them do the basics over and over and over again. So his girls will have a good foundation, and then they can build off of that foundation into these other moves and these other things that players do.
I'm a basketball purist. Nobody teaches the fundamentals anymore. Everything is, okay, drive hard, step back three. Well, if you a bigger guard, you got a guard that's 6'7", he can't go on a post against a guard that's 6'1". And he should be able to post him up all day long.
Rudy Gobert.
No excuse. I think he need to change his name. Charmin, extra soft.
Okay.
And I mean that wholeheartedly. First of all, let's get to these comments real quick. How you doing, John? Yeah, we can see the chat. Thank you for joining us. Hello there, mama. I'm glad she joined. I got something to say. Tomorrow's my mama's birthday. And if it were not for this special day tomorrow, I wouldn't be here. So I'm giving her an early birthday gift because I'm first. Say happy birthday. I know I'm your favorite. You ain't got to tell Pacquiao. You ain't got to tell nobody. We already know. I know I'm your favorite. I got it. But I'm happy that I'm able to be able to share it with you yet again. So happy birthday, early birthday. And man, I'm just at a loss for words because it's her birthday, but I'm happy. So
that's how it's supposed to be, man.
Strap in, get ready, because we get ready to run this thing off the rails and get going. First and foremost, Dillon Brooks.
Yes, sir.
He's been told that he's not going to be brought back by the Memphis Grizzlies. My question to you, and I'll let you answer it first. Fair or BS?
I think it's fair. I mean, sometimes the juice has to be worth the squeeze. So when I saw it, and I saw if you look at his playoff performance, like his antics weren't worth it. And I think we're getting to that point where you may see one Draymond Green searching for a new address this summer because the production you're getting back isn't worth the headaches you're getting. So why would you put up with that? So that's how I feel with Brooks. I think Brooks just didn't do anything. He wasn't an intangible. He didn't make the team better. Actually, Desmond Bane is better than him. So, yeah. And you got to start picking people. Because the way the NBA pay, everybody gets money. So you got to start watching out for that luxury cap.
I call BS. What is it that he did so wrong? Because he talked trash. I mean, okay, so he talked trash and he wound up getting humbled. How many players have talked trash and wound up getting humbled and still got a contract the next year? It was okay. Huh?
If you don't fit your plans, I mean, I get what you're saying. But sometimes, I mean, a player plays himself out of being welcome. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know what conversations were had. We don't know any of that. But we did see his reduction, and I don't know. He's probably coming up on his rookie extension, and they probably just don't want to pay the rookie extension.
This year, Dillon Brooks played 73 games, started all 73 games he played. Career high 30 minutes a game. He shot 39% from the field, 32 from behind the arc, 77 from the line. 3.3 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and 14.3 points per game. Now, his points are down from last year. However, if you had no problem with him and his antics early in the season, when he was talking junk, he come in the joint looking like Goldie from the Mac, looking like Drake, it wasn't no problem then. Oh, but you go up against LBJ and the King, just dominates him, and you know, I don't respect him because he ain't give me 40. Okay, that's fine. But that was a team effort. That wasn't Dillon Brooks' fault that they lost that series. That was a team effort. Team. One man in the NBA cannot lose an entire finals. That was a team effort. Him catching the blame for antics. Oh, because he talked shit. What the hell are you supposed to do? Be buddy. Hey man, how the family doing? You good? Oh man, I'm gonna catch up with you after the game. I got to go show. Man, fuck all that. I don't want to be your friend. If it came down to it, and it was myself, you, the boss BJ, the man of the hour, Delonte, Big Jim, if y'all were on a team together and I was on the opposing team, yeah, the love's there, but until this game's over, dog, I don't want to say anything. I'm going to put one of y'all in your ass to show you that, hey, strap up. It's time to run. You know, I'm not going to sit there and fake the funk like I don't want to win. I don't want to be buddy. I want to win. What did you expect me to do? Nobody has a problem when Patrick Beverley does it. But now everybody, Dillon Brooks cost in that series because they pissed LeBron off. So the fuck what?
Well, I mean, that's the cheap narrative. Like sometimes our media goes for the thing that's closest to them, something they can grasp onto and make it a story when it's not really a story. I don't know what the situation is in Memphis. Maybe they're trying to get away from some of the images that they've portrayed with I'm just KG. You got to put everything on the table.
I get it.
Sometimes it might be an image thing. It could be anything. It could be that they felt like he was one of the ones that was in there helping, or you know, part of the reasons Ja was doing what Ja was doing. I don't know. You don't know. But again, when it comes to corporations, the first person they're gonna insulate is the star, and they insulated Morant. Made sure they did what they had to do with him, and now Brooks is just a casualty. It may be a pay thing. It may be an attitude thing. It could be anything. It could be a thing that where their scheme doesn't really fit anymore. You can get somebody to give you 14, 3, and 2.
Now, here's the thing. You brought up a good point. Could it be because of what Ja was on? Ja Morant is a grown-ass man. The decisions that he made off the court are his and his alone. Which I always tell me, that type of NBA where you got the older veteran, that type of NFL, that don't exist no more. Wake up out your dream. That don't exist no more. Every man is responsible for himself now. He doesn't have that big brother on the team. He doesn't have that OG because they don't listen anymore. Ja Morant got to take and fall on that sword him damn self. Dylan Brooks, I don't give a damn if Dylan Brooks was like, hey, Ja, you shouldn't do that. Dylan Brooks can't fall on that sword because Ja Morant still took the tag on chance and went and did something stupid like that several times. But Dylan Brooks not being brought back.
Again, it could be.
Go ahead.
What is he giving you? He gave you 14, 2, and 3. That's not something that you can't get. You can get that player somewhere else.
Hold on. Yeah, you can. Hold on. Give it to me.
You're about to go through the list of guys that average 14 points.
No. Mr. Cry and celebrate like, you know, he would just won an NBA championship because he won a play-in game, Patrick Beverley. With the Lakers this year, he averaged 6 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds. With the Bulls, 5 points, 1 steal, 3.5 assists, and 4.9 rebounds. But he got a job. Nobody talking about, well, we're not going to bring him back next year. I guarantee you he's in the league next year.
He's probably not playing on the same deal, though. This kid is coming up on his rookie extension, so he's probably going to get $40 million. If he's getting what Austin Reeves was getting 40.
But Austin Reeves produced more. I don't see him getting 40. You take this 25 over 4 years and chill out. If that,
it
but
don't
I'm not
work like that, okay? It don't work. His whatever the extension is that comes in that, because it's a slot system, so he's slotted for a certain amount, and I think his amount is 40 for Austin Reeves.
I call bullshit. There's no way in 4 hells that kid should be outed out of Memphis for any reason. If it's a performance issue, okay. And maybe I'm in a different realm, but if you giving me 14 points as opposed to a guy that's giving me 2 points, PJ Tucker played 37 minutes the other night and took no field goals, and he constantly has a job. And he does the intangibles. Who's to say Dylan Brooks doesn't do the intangibles?
Aren't they like 17-2 or 24-2 when he doesn't score a point and he starts the ball game?
Intangibles, but look how much money PJ is getting paid too. So don't tell me it's points based or performance.
24-2 when he changes. Oh, but he changed. All right, let's watch. Did you watch last night's game?
Nah, I missed most of it.
Last night's game, he changed last night's game with his on pressure defense at the start of the third quarter. They made a run right after that. So that's different.
And Leroy says, obviously Memphis is trying to change their immature image, and he's the scapegoat. And maybe what they trying to do, I ain't gotta like it, but I mean, it may be what they trying to do. I don't see this as, you know what? They've been doing it for years, so it ain't nothing new. How about that? But I don't think he'll catch on somewhere, and it won't be the Shanghai Sharks or the Thailand Tigers or nothing like that. He will be in the NBA next year. Somebody's going to pick him up. So that's not a problem. Next topic. Embiid is the MVP. You good with that?
Yeah. I mean, I thought he was the best player in the league. So there was no need for him not to be the MVP. And I don't think Jokic earned it. I mean, it's one of those situations where I feel like they'll fall in love with somebody and make excuses to make him the MVP and ignore some other performances. And I think Embiid made it so he couldn't be ignored this year. Because I also didn't feel like Jokic was like the 3-time MVP. You know what I'm saying?
And here's my thing though. Why is it saying that Jokic edges out Joel for number one? Maybe that's an old article. I think that's an old article. But Embiid wins it. And it was between him and Jokic, but I think it was more pressure that they gave it to Embiid. Because it seemed like everybody was crying. Well, you don't have any parity if you got the MVP for 3 years in a row. Well, if I'm not mistaken, in what was that? Well, no, that was 2 years in a row. You had MJ 90, 91 and 92. Barkley won it in 93. 94 was Hakeem. 95 was David Robinson. And Hakeem was pissed about that shit.
Oh, he showed him in 95.
Huh?
He showed him in that playoff series.
Yeah, and he was all. What did Kenny Smith say? He was all, no, I'm not worried about it. Then I dogged him in that playoff series. He's like, I'm going to his house and I'm going to get my trophy. I love that. I absolutely love that. But I think it was more pressure that I don't want to say they handed it to Embiid, but I think it was more pressure that they said, hey, take this MVP. That way nobody cries because Jokic won it. Because everybody was crying when he was in the race, and they was like, he about to win the third one. Everybody was crying.
But Embiid showed you down the stretch. Like he didn't, it wasn't like, oh, here you go. He took it. He had a stretch of 30 plus ball games. So he came out and took that MVP. So no, it wasn't. I think it was literally Jokic MVP up until the last month of the season, and Embiid put on a show the last month to show that he deserved it, and he was the most important player.
And you know what? I absolutely love that. I love when you have an MVP race and it's actually somebody that's actually valuable. Because if Embiid goes down at any point in this season, the Sixers' title hopes are done.
I don't know. They showed you last night. Harden gave you 45, so it's not done, but it has to take special performances like that for it to get done. Harden has to go back to being Rockets Harden for that team to compete and win. And then they also have to shoot like they did last night, because between them and Boston, that first quarter, they put on a show. I know at one point, Tatum was 5 of 6. I don't know what Harden's numbers were, but both teams were shooting something like 17 for 25 from the floor. Boston was dominating in the paint. So it was just one of those things where last night game showed you that this is going to be a long series, but also showed you that if Philly gets the right performances from the right people, they can still compete.
Speaking of competing, Joel Embiid averaged 33 this year. 33, 10, and 4. He had 4 assists. 10. He averaged a double-double this year. Damn. And it's a 30-point double-double at that. That is impressive right there. That is absolutely impressive. And if I'm not mistaken, he won a scoring title. He won a scoring title as well. When the last time we seen an MVP win a scoring title? What was that? Kevin Durant?
We got you the historian. You don't know that off the top of your head?
I think it is KD. That's the last time you had a scoring title. Leroy said after Big Perk insinuated that something racist was going on in the MVP vote, and there was no way Embiid was going to lose, especially to the Joker. I agree. I'm not saying they gave it to him. He did earn it, but it seemed like everybody got on that Embiid trade when that was said. But one thing you can't deny is talent. And both the Joker and Embiid have serious talent. And, I mean, Embiid is one of the few bigs that'll take you down the block and abuse you.
When he not falling.
Hey, statistically, if he doesn't fall at least 12 times in the game, the Sixers lose. Every time he's fell in less than 12 times, they've lost.
They're 12-0 on Tuesdays when he falls 10 times or more.
Yeah. Look it up on Basketball Reference. It's on there. It's on there.
I got you.
All right, final NBA topic before we get into meat and potatoes of this show. Favorite matchup of the second round outside of your Lakers?
How we do that? I said, how we do that?
What any other matchup other than the Lakers?
Then it's Boston Philly. Because I feel like whoever wins Boston Philly is going to the Eastern Conference representative. Because I don't see anything that Miami, and even with Jimmy Buckets having his moments, I don't see anything that those two teams do that's going to stop stop Boston or Philly from getting to the finals.
I'm Miami, New York.
Come on, give me the history lesson. Go ahead, come on.
I mean, you know about the rivalry. Once Pat Riley took over in Miami, that rivalry started. You know about the fights between what was that? Alonzo Mourning and Charles Oakley. No, that was Alonzo Mourning and LJ. And Jeff Van Gundy holding on to the leg. That was one. But you got to remember, from 95 to about 2000, they matched up in the playoffs, and those are some epic battles. The what was that? I think that was 2000 when Allen Houston drove right and he hit the float in the lane. Man, I'll never forget that series, because when he did that, maybe about 2 days later, the boss BJ, the man of the hour Delonte, myself, my brother Paul, we went out to Buddy Attic Park, and we were out there balling. I couldn't hit nothing. I hit that floater in the lane, and I was like, all right, I'm on now. I still couldn't hit. Then Delonte started going for it. He started hitting the floater in the lane repeatedly. I was like, all right, let me just bring this ball up and get him the ball. I ain't got to do nothing else. Delonte carried us to like 3 wins that day off of just hitting floaters in the lane because couldn't nobody stop it. I'm forever grateful for that, because I walked away with 3 wins off the court that day. I'm forever grateful for that series. But I'm looking for that series because who's expecting New York to do anything?
Well, I think New York became a favorite the second they got Jalen Brunson. And I think Dallas showed you how much they missed Jalen Brunson because they didn't have another scorer or another person to impact the basketball the way that Brunson did, and to actually be an effective passer. Because I think Brunson's the reason why some of the role players in Dallas played well, because he was giving them shots in rhythm. When you watch Luka play, it's dribble. Oh shit, pass. And now you got a guy catching the ball with 2 seconds left. I watched that the whole, or the ball comes to the rim, pass to Luka, dribble. Stop, dribble. Pass last second. Guy got to shoot a long third. I mean, it's annoying. I watched that game and I was just like, I would never want to play with a dude like this, because the basketball doesn't move. The basketball stops, and then it becomes a hot potato when it's 4 seconds left on the clock.
You know what you sound like doing that, right?
What?
I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's an episode of Teen Titans with LeBron James. And they did it like kind of Scooby-Doo-esque. So he'd be like, I gotta go. Dribble. And he would walk away and he'd go, dribble. That's what he would do every time he would leave. That's what you sound like. Eric Wheeler says, maybe now Embiid can stop whining. I ain't gonna go there. My mama says it seems that way, 54-51 tonight, and Miami's up 54-51 at halftime over the Knicks. I think that's going to be a thrilling series. It may go 7, but I'll say 6. Not picking a winner. And this is for you, Midnight Rider. Good job.
Let me see. So let's go back to that. You said Knicks, you got what?
I'm thinking that's either going to go 7, but it may go 6, but I refuse to pick a winner.
All right, since you won't, I will. I'm gonna take Miami in 7, and it's gonna be a 40-point night for Jimmy Buckets.
See, I got a couple dogs in the fight.
That's why I picked it.
Yeah, I got a couple dogs in the fight.
So what we got next? Boston and what you call it?
You got Boston and the Sixers.
So I'm gonna take Boston in 7.
Damn, Jimmy ain't playing tonight.
Right. And the guard play looks bad, but they fighting.
D Rose ain't playing tonight neither.
Well, D Rose hasn't really been in the rotation much since after the All-Star break.
I don't like it.
I don't know if he's hurt or what.
But
I don't want to touch the Nuggets series because they're already 2 games in. So I won't put I feel like I'm cheating if I do that. And then we all know the last one, Lakers and the Warriors. I say one thing every time: Lakers in 6.
The man wasn't wrong last series. He damn sure called it in 6. I got 2 dogs in that Lakers that Heat Knicks series. I got 2 dogs in that. Number 1, Derrick Rose. And I was hoping that at trade deadline they brought Derrick Rose back to Chicago. Steady the hand at point guard with no Lonzo. I would have loved to seen him back. They've already said they're going to retire his number 1 once he retires, and I'm happy for that. But then on the other side, Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy G Buckets. What's the G stand for? Gets. That's my man. I've told this story before, but I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan. I'm a big Derrick Rose fan. I felt that they were one of the backcourt duos, and I felt if Jimmy would have came into his own and he would have been on that team early on, we wouldn't have had a power outage at 2 guard that we had, because we had Keith Bogans, who could score but was more of a defensive guard. You had a couple of other Rip Hamilton, and he was past his prime. And God, I can't think of the other cat's name. But when them 2 got together, beautiful. When they traded them a year apart, bruh, man, cried, dog. Real tears. I cried. Yeah. Eric Wheeler says Luka needs to take his strength and conditioning seriously now. Yeah, he does. He also says the Suns are in trouble. Can't win if your bench only scores 4 points.
I wonder where I heard him say that before. He said that earlier today on another post in another place.
Here's the bad part. I think the 6th man is dead. Do they even have any 6 men that come off the bench and actually put in starters minutes and actually score anymore?
Well, you missed it last night. Brogdon, I guess he was being a little Nostradamus for you, because he came out last night and I think he dropped 24 last night. So, and he's the reigning 6th man of the year. So, I mean, it happens. I just think it's not as defined anymore like it used to be. We knew when Vinnie Johnson hit the scorer's table. You knew when like a Dale Ellis or insert your 6th man of the year potential candidate, like what was going on. I think now, they're a little bit more free when it comes to their substitutions. Their patterns are a lot different.
Your 6th man was always your first guy off the bench, no matter what. And greatest 6th man of all time, Hondo, John Havlicek, rest in peace. There is no better 6th man ever. Then you can start listing off the other guys, the Tony Kukocs, the Vinnie Johnsons, because those guys are in a rarefied air as well. But with that rarefied air, Hondo sits above that. Everybody else is below that. Eric Wheeler say Bones Highland can be that guy if they play him. Yeah, that's always the thing. You got guys that can score, they never get a chance.
But it's also part of the league where some of these guys, they can score, but they don't know when to score or when. Like, there are certain shots sometimes that in the regular season, that's a good shot. It's not a good shot, but you can take that shot and get away with it. But in the postseason, that becomes an awful shot, and it makes the second you shoot it, that substitution horn hits, and they got somebody coming in pointing to you, and you run into the sideline. So I think that's kind of the difference. And I think that kind of was the spark of that confrontation that Bones had with Plumlee towards the end of the regular season. I think he took a couple shots that maybe he shouldn't have taken. So Mason got in his face because you got to get ready for the playoffs. You can't walk in the playoffs like this is going to get handed to you. And I think that was a problem with the Clippers was the Clippers got bad luck. And I got another thing before we end this too. Go ahead.
Eric Wheeler says, does Poole start?
I think he's there. I think he is their sixth man. Or he goes between sixth and the starter. So I don't know if he's a true sixth man.
And the crazy part about it, he'd be a perfect sixth man. But he's a good starter. You can use a guy in your starting lineup, but I'd rather have him come off the bench leading the second unit. It's something different. It's like most people like, man, if I ain't starting, I ain't playing. No, well, I don't know, man. It's like a badge of honor. You telling me to lead the second unit? All right. You set the tempo. You're the tempo guy for the second unit. And then when you got those starters on the bench waving towels because that second unit balling, they were like a well-oiled machine, nothing like it in the world, man. Nothing like it. But I guess that's just me. But switching gears. I gave my draft grade on Sunday for the Commanders draft, as you can see behind me on the board.
Not that well.
Huh?
I say, okay, there you go.
Yeah, I gave him B-. Sport News gave him a D-. Matter of fact, let me pull that up now. This is what Sport News had to say. The Commanders did okay filling their defensive needs, but notably absent. I'm sorry, they gave him a D. But notably absent was linebacker, tight end, and developmental quarterback. They also reached for Forbes and Martin early and didn't. I guess that's supposed to get good value in either Stromberg or Daniels. They remain the by far worst team in the otherwise loaded NFC East. And that's from Sport News. And ever since I've seen that, I've noticed that everybody else has been falling in line. At first, everybody was like, oh, I love this draft. It was great. You got to give it about a B-. Yeah, this is great. But then when Sport News said that, all of a sudden, everybody's giving them Ds.
It's not just Sport News. It's the national media. Like the national media has tried at every point in this old season to make Sam Howell not the quarterback. They've talked about Lamar. They've talked about everything else because that's what they would do in this scenario. But the problem they keep forgetting is ownership isn't in place. So you can't, if I'm the new owner coming in and I've watched these guys give you Fitzpatrick, give you Wentz, you started 3 quarterbacks in each of the last 5 years, maybe 4. You've had a new starter every year for the last 5 years. I'm not depending on you to dictate my future going forward. So you draft everything else you want to get. You can go get a kid late to be our third quarterback. I don't care. But we're not investing right now at this point in the quarterback. I want my guys to pick the quarterback. Because if you listen to everything that they talk about with Harris, he's an analytics guy. Analytics. And this team is by far a million moons away from being anything dealing with analytics. We probably have one of the worst analytic teams in the league. So there's no need in wasting the time and wasting this team's future with guys that don't fit what you do. And it's part of the reason why I feel that the one change they would make, and they're probably going to sit Ron down and be like, we got to get our structure in place. You can still coach this football team, but we're going to go with a traditional GM.
Well, this weekend, here's the thing. Did you go to the draft party?
No, I didn't.
Well, my mama did. And she said DJ Woody was there. Did it up. He did a performance. I did catch the video of the performance. So, of course, we got to do it. Left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders. I can't wait till next season. It makes me happy. Makes me good. But the draft party, I wanted to be there. Had to work. And Eric Wheeler also says amen. And
so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you
got comments.
No, I got it. That was the last one. Eric Wheeler was the last one.
All right. So grade wise for this class. I'm a C. And I'm a C for a couple reasons. They convinced me on Forbes. So if you remember, we were doing the live hit.
Mm-hmm.
I was Christian Gonzalez. All I knew how to say was Christian Gonzalez. And the second they made the pick, I kind of grabbed my head because I didn't want to spaz. I didn't want to do the hot take. And the reason I didn't want to do the hot take is because
you didn't want to be wrong like I've been wrong for like 4 years in a row.
No, not even that. It's more so I had to think of what they were thinking about. So when they came out, talked about his playmaking ability, talking about his ability to change the field, help them change the field, that started making sense. And then as you think about it, Christian Gonzalez, he's a 1-year tape guy because he was at Colorado before he transferred to Oregon. So now you're thinking, all right, this guy really wasn't on the radar, but he had a good senior season. That tends to get coaches in trouble when you get a guy that only had one good season and then all of a sudden, he's asked to repeat it and he can't successfully. So that's that. The second round pick, I was mad they couldn't move up, but I understood if they couldn't or somebody was asking too much. I know for a fact that Pittsburgh was probably asking for a whole lot because they had the opportunity to go with a second generation kid in that space. I don't know much about Quan. From what I've heard and what I've seen, I like it, but I don't know if I think he's also Cam Curl insurance to some extent. So I get a little curious and queasy about that because this team struggles when Cam Curl's not on the field. And if he's not here next year, that's going to be an issue. But again, that comes back down to our GM situation that gets figured out with this ownership thing. Stromberg, I had Stromberg right about where we took him. I just questioned his mobility and his ability to move his feet. And I think that's kind of why they didn't take Osiris Torrance, because Osiris Torrance, the guard out of Florida, he's like 6'5", he's like 350. So I don't know if he has the wheels. And I think one of the things that Bieniemy likes because he's a heavy screen team is the ability for the guy to get out on the edge to block for a screen. So that's kind of where I mark him down there. Daniels, I'm not sure what he's going to be. The good thing is they got a good strength and conditioning coach. So the question for me is, I feel like the problem I have is they're getting marginally better, but for them, that marginal could be astronomical because of the time maybe the quarterback gets that he normally didn't get because of the blocking in the run game. So I don't know. Like the reason I think I give it a C is because I don't see a tangible way to something bigger than that. I can see the ifs and the question marks and us answering those, but that's the part I struggle with.
Now I'm reading this from NFL Mock Draft Database, and they go back to 2016 with draft grades for the Commanders. They got everybody's draft grade, and I was looking at something about 2019. They was like, the 2019 that draft grade was an F, and Dwayne Haskins was an F, and Montez Sweat was a D, and I'm like, what? If I'm not mistaken, that was probably the draft that I think they rated Washington having the best upside with their draft picks. But right. I'll get into that in a second. For 2023, this is each pick that they made last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Emmanuel Forbes, D. Jartavius Martin, D, plus they reach for him. Ricky Stromberg, D, plus a reach. Braden Daniels, C, and a reach. KJ Henry, C. Chris Rodriguez, C. Andre Jones, C. Now, if we go back to the year before, the prior year,
let me finish this year's off with those three guys. KJ Henry, I think, is a guy that's going to flash. I think you're going to get more from him than you think. Rodriguez, I'm shocked they went with a bruiser, but I can see if they're going to fully commit Gibson to return man and third down, then I can understand going with another bruiser and another guy that's a running back by nature to start off the thing. And then Andre Jones. He's from Louisiana Lafayette. And we don't do too bad getting kids from Louisiana Lafayette. You got Percy Butler last year. They drafted some quarterback they had a long time ago. So he kind of turned out okay.
He did.
He turned out all right.
Pretty good.
So yeah.
But
so go ahead.
I'm looking back at the 2022 draft. And it says, so you're probably wondering how these grades were determined. Well, it's a combination of which round we projected them to go in, their positioning on our consensus big board, as well as some additional factors to spice up a little. Note, these grades are a snapshot to a moment in time right after the completion of the 2022 draft. The grade has no bearing on their future success in the NFL. Also be aware that as a mock draft gets added to these sites, these grades can change since the grades are automated.
See, and that's the funny part about mocks. Like, the one thing I don't like is, and I'm gonna apologize because this is a soapbox moment, is because people read these blogs, they read these guys, and then all of a sudden you've been hearing all year long that Christian Gonzalez is a number one corner. But if he doesn't fit what Washington does, he's not their top corner. So you're basing everything off of just this guy's personal belief, but this team is drafting off of need and fit. So sometimes when it comes to these grades and saying, "Oh, it's a reach," perfect example is Stromberg. Stromberg is like a 3-year starter at center. You know, could you have gotten somebody else? I would have loved to go and get my guy John Michael Smits. But I think what happened is when it comes to the tiers, if you got Quan in the second tier and you got Smits in the third, you're going with the higher grade, and that's how you end up with a Quan. And I think fans don't think about that when they're talking about the draft. They just know they've been seeing for the last 2 months, this guy's the number one corner. This guy's this guy's that. But if you look at some of these draft boards, there's a couple of guys that didn't get drafted. Like a kid like Raheem Jarrett didn't get drafted. So you got to kind of be careful when it comes to that.
Here's my thing. And this is this from the 2022 draft. This is why I question so much of what you read. Jahan Dotson, F. Fedarian Mathis, a D, and they reached. Brian Robinson Jr., C, and they reached. Percy Butler, F, and they reached. Sam Howell, A, got good value. Cole Turner, C. Chris Paul, A, good value, and Christian Holmes, F.
So everybody on that list played last year. I think Holmes is a kid that has potential. Dotson is definitely an A. I mean, I think that's another situation where if you look in that first round, the three biggest performers is Garrett Wilson, Olave, and I think Dotson's either third or fourth in the yards for rookie receivers. And he's up there with touchdowns. He's got to be in the top 3 in touchdowns.
Instant impact, because we struggled while he was out.
Yeah, and that's also because your play caller struggled.
Yes.
So when we get to the league section, just let me know, because I think I got my 1 and 2 of who I think the offensive rookie of the year is going to be.
Okay.
And you already know one of the names.
I'm not going to say. I took it back even further. I took it back to 2019. Now, this is one of the highest rated drafts that Washington had. Dwayne Haskins, A. Montez Sweat, A. Terry McLaurin, C. Bryce Love, C. Wes Martin, F. And they reach for him. Ross Pirschbacher, B. Cole Holcomb, F. Kelvin Harmon, A. Jimmy Moreland, A. And Jordan Brailford, A. Now, out of these guys,
Brailford got hurt in the preseason. I don't think he may have played a game or two in 2 years. Cole Holcomb was your starting middle or your starting linebacker. Dwayne, it's an inconsistent grade for Dwayne, and that's sad. Montez definitely is a B ball player. Who am I missing? Because I went out of order. Oh, Terry's an A. So you overachieved there. And I remember being in my boy's house, and I was like, McLaurin's going to be a dog. And I actually drafted McLaurin. And of course, on the fantasy league draft thing, they said I reached for him, but I knew this kid was going. We ain't had nobody else to throw to. That was explosive.
We never got to see Bryce Love.
Bryce Love was just that. I understand the pick because you really haven't done well with running backs. The other problem with this team is, for some reason, the second round, they've struggled at times getting production from their second round picks. Guys like Ryan Anderson, you got questionable production out of Trent Murphy. Trent played decent, but Trent, I think for some reason this team, when they went 3-4, they didn't understand that they had to go, their ends or their edges had to be explosive guys. So I think that was their failure in their part of building that.
Now, this is,
and that's why I like. I'm sorry, and that's why I like the KJ Henry and Andre Jones picks, because both of those guys are explosive. I think they have to put some NFL weight on their body to be effective, but they can have an impact early on, even if it's just on teams.
Now this is not a knock on anybody that does mock drafts, but I always say, just like a trade, you can't judge a draft class until you're about, I'll say 3 or 4 years in. Until they finish their rookie deals, you can't judge a draft class. But have you noticed that talent is not as deep as it once was? Like the talent of the 80s, the 90s, well, even we had more rounds in the 80s, and you still had the supplemental draft and everything. But have you noticed that talent has kind of sort of diminished a little bit? Like these guys got more exposure, but it's a lot of guys, they get drafted, you be like, who? You know, have you noticed that? Or am I tripping?
I don't know. I mean, we see the draft differently, just from a fundamental standpoint. So when I look at this draft this year, I thought it was guys from 1 to about 15. And then after that, it became a preference from about 16 to 32, 16 to 33. And I think that's why you saw some people trade down and move back just to kind of fit the guy that they wanted, but you didn't see the extreme trade ups or trade backs like we normally see. And then I think after 32, it kind of got muddied. So I think there was talent. I think this draft was mid-round talent. I think around the late second to about the 5th round, you're going to get quality guys. Now, you're not going to be like 83 where you're going to walk away with 4 Hall of Famers or anything like that. But you're going to have quality guys. And an update, looked like Strauss just went to the locker room limping. So I don't know if he's coming back. Miami's up 5 with 4 minutes left in the third quarter. But yeah, back to that. It's just I just thought this draft had some talent, and I think some of their talent is going to explode for you in places like the guy we talked about, Israel. I'm not even trying to say his last name, that the Jets ended up drafting like I thought they should because he was a fit. He's a smaller guy because you got Michael Carter, who's the Bulldog from North Carolina, who's in his 3rd year, I want to say. And then you got Breece Hall, who's going into his 2nd year. Hall's coming off a knee injury. So those are your 2 bruises. So you naturally have to get somebody to catch the ball. I didn't like what Dallas did in that situation because I thought Dallas should have came away with a better banger as a running back. And they should have gone up and gotten somebody a little bit earlier with a little bit more talent. The guy I thought would have been perfect for them was Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA. But, I'm not in anybody's war room to share these thoughts or have these conversations.
Well, Let me throw this out there real quick before we tackle the league. Greatest draft class of all time.
83. Here we go. Nah, you about to say like 1968 or 1965. I mean, I'm messing with you.
No, I can't say that.
Arbitrary numbers out there.
No, because I can't say 56 because Bart Starr was drafted in like the 15th round of 56, man.
Right.
That's a problem. That's a problem. That's not a good draft class. It's a problem.
But we're talking about resources too at that time.
Yeah, and territorial rights was a big thing in both the NBA and the NFL.
Right.
If you played college in that territory, they had your draft rights. Hold on, let me get to this real quick. Eric Wheeler says the combine has overhyped a lot of players. That's true. Many of the attributes they test for and showcase at the combine do not translate to the football field. I agree. Leroy says greatest Washington draft 1981.
That's probably because that's the year is that the year with Mark May and Russ Grimm? I'm curious about that because then with that they got a free agent of Joe Jacoby, and they may even drafted Bostic in that class. It's kind of curious, but I think that's what I'm thinking about.
Mark May, Russ Grimm, Tom Flick, Dexter Manley.
Yep.
Charlie Brown, Darryl Grant. Damn. Clint Didier. Shit. Okay.
Yeah, and then your free agents, I think, are Jacoby and maybe Bostic or something like that. But they pretty much got a good portion of the Hogs from that 81 draft.
That's a damn good draft.
You got to say it this way. Lee, you're right. Okay.
Eric Wheeler says, gauge these guys on football intangibles instead of just 40 times and looking good in shirts and shorts. I agree with that. Because
I disagree with that.
What do you mean? All
right. So no. Because I know where we're going with this. I'm gonna stop you because the T-shirt and short Olympics is not for the evaluators. It's for the fans. This thing has become a show.
Yeah, because
think about this. Right. So this is on TV. It's 4 days of the weekend or whatever. You're showcasing your guys. This is about guys. This is another way to keep you engaged with the league. That's just, and I know some people think that guys jump because of that, but some of these guys jump because you see the speed in the combine. Now you go back to watch the tape. Now when you go back and watch the tape, is the same thing that you saw at the combine, and you've seen some guys drop. Like the perfect example in this year's draft is Kelee Ringo. Kelee Ringo was projected to be a first round guy out of Georgia. He's the kid that intercepted the pass in the championship game and took it back for a touchdown against Alabama. And after that, he came out thinking he was going to be a first round pick. The kid got drafted in the 4th round. His tape and his times didn't match up.
Here's the thing. It's great to run a 4.40. That used to be the standard. That's how you knew you was fast. You made other guys that was fast look not so fast. But that's not even a standard anymore. Guys are running sub 4.4s now. But you're doing it in shorts and a t-shirt. Let me see you run a 4.4 in football pads. I've only known 2 people to run a sub 4.4 in football pads. And that is one, Darrell Green and Rocket Ismail. Rocket Ismail ran a 4.1 in full pads. And it wasn't wind assisted. That's how I knew he had speed.
That sounds nice and good, but that doesn't sell tickets. The tickets selling is watching seeing the guys' guns, you know what I'm saying? Seeing them run. You got people that like this is like fantasy football. It's the equivalent. Like you put fans in the position where they feel like they can tell you, "Oh, I watched this guy in the shuttle drill. He had the shortest split in the shuttle drill. I like his short range quickness." You know what I'm saying? Or you hear guys say, "Oh, when he went through the the obstacle course, he only dropped 2, so he like a natural hands catcher. Like these are things like I used to write notes like that, so I know the draft is a drug. The draft is a drug. I mean, not the draft, but the combine. It's a drug.
Eric Willis say Richardson's draft stock only rose because he became a combine guy. His tape at Florida last season was blah.
No, sir. No, sir. Totally disagree with you.
And Deion did run the fastest time at the combine. He ran a 4.1 and ran straight to the limo and left.
If we talked in November, I told my coworker, there's one guy, the second, and maybe he is because of the combine, but I said the second people watch him throw the football, it's gonna be Richardson. Richardson has too many natural talents that he's not gonna just catch somebody's eye. And the first thing they say in the NFL is, oh, I can get him. I can teach him to be better. I can get him to do this better. And that's what this is a classic case of, a coach's ego. And I'm sorry. I said this before. I don't know if we said this on the show, but if I got Anthony Richardson and his 4.4 coming to the mesh point with Jonathan Taylor and his 4.3, good luck. We will put the women and children to sleep and go looking for dinner. Because we do that a couple times and we hit you for big gashes, it's going to change the whole course of the ball game. And then he's going to start hitting that kid Pierce that drafted last year, and he's going to hit Michael Pittman, and it's going to be a different ball game.
I think I gotta say this.
I told anybody that listened that Richardson was going to be in the top 5. And I just know it's just the way the league works.
Because one thing I can say is looking at his plays from Florida last year, he made a couple, but that's the thing about a highlight tape. You see all the good things. I want to see that low light tape. I want to see where you made mistakes. And somebody, I don't know if it was you, but I remember somebody said something. They said with a highlight tape, it's great, but let me see what you did the next 4 plays after you made that highlight. Let me see what happened. Then I want to see the low light tape where you made mistakes. Let me see what you did 4 plays in succession after making that mistake. That'll determine if you're the kind of guy that I want. Did you fall apart? Did you pull it back together? Did you have a meltdown on the sidelines? I need to see all of that.
That sounded prophetic. That might be something I said.
But this is a time and space that coaches and scouts are looking at players, how they act on the bench. And it's being watched, because if you're on the bench and you're sulking and you're doing all this, coaches they're not looking your way. But if you're on the bench, like, come on, guys, we're going to pull this together. You got some leadership qualities. But some guys, knowing that you're watching, they're going to do that, and they really don't have those qualities. And then Eric Willis say, don't get me started on Malik Willis. We already had a whole daggone discussion about Malik Willis. Don't get me started on Malik Willis, please. Please. He was in an RG3 situation. Drafted by a coach that didn't want him. Now they done drafted another quarterback, and he's going to be an odd man out.
Different regime.
Yeah, true. Different regime. But he's going to be the odd man out without ever really getting a chance. Because, he came into those games last year unprepared. Okay. He got to take accountability for that, but also coaching has to take an accountability for that.
Okay. Yeah, that's why he's somewhere else. You don't sign a guy for 8. Yeah, Malik Willis tape did say that. But here's the difference on his scouting report was they questioned him against top-tier talent because he didn't play against top-tier talent. They questioned his ability to sit in the pocket and if he would pull his eyes down too soon because his offensive line was trash. So there's the other pieces in there. The difference between him and Richardson is 6'5", 230. He's an absolute freak of an athlete. Willis is like 6 feet barely or 6'1" barely. There's a difference there. NFL scout, the second he's 6'5", I told my buddy the year that RG3 and Andrew Luck were number 1 and 2. If Russell Wilson is 6'4", 6'5", Russell Wilson is the second quarterback taken off the board.
Shanahan wanted him. They talked him down.
Yeah.
Shanahan wanted him. Shanahan wanted him earlier than he wanted him. And I think the second or third round, they talked him off of it.
Well, you got to, because you can't have two quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds. It was crazy enough having 2 quarterbacks in the first 4.
Well, we've done that before. Well, no, that wasn't first 4 because Gus was 7th.
Gus was your last pick. Heath was your first.
Yeah. So it's different. But I get that. But if he would have picked Russ, he was supposed to pick
Russ had the same career.
No. But I think that, to be honest, I think Russ would have probably be our quarterback right now. If everything happened, but if RG3 would have just.
Oh, that's so. How much do you listen to the 980? You still a 980-aholic?
Of course. I have to listen on playback stuff.
So you're on Twitter. Check out, there's an exchange between Denton Day, DentonDay. He's one of the producers on the Kevin Sheehan show. And he and RG3 had a nice little back and forth today. So if you check that out, you'll have some fun. You'll get some good information.
And I'm sitting here with Twitter open too.
and this is the most RG3-ish conversation ever. Because he goes on to some show to set up the background and says, Hendon Hooker needs to do what I should have done, and that's get myself fully healthy before coming back. Those are the words out of his mouth. I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of it.
Oh, my.
And speaking of Hendon Hooker, I think that was a great pick by Detroit because he doesn't have to come back right away because your quarterback plays 16 ball games, but you get a guy that in a year or two, you come back down to rookie money. Hopefully you draft a younger guy as a developmental project, and then you go from there. And you have Detroit set up for the next couple years. And speaking of Detroit, since you just so gladly dropped that in my lap, you have the guy that's going to finish in second place in the Rookie of the Year, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I thought they would have kept Swift so they could go with a turbo package, and you could line up Gibbs in the slot and get Gibbs 40 to 50 catches as a wide receiver, as well as his 1,200 yards as a running back. His only issue is if he gets hurt, but he's so explosive that he's my number 2. Now, KG, if there was somebody in this draft that you think I might have as my offensive rookie of the year, without going on limb, who do you think I would have?
Bijan Robinson.
There it is, Bijan Robinson. That's the guy. He's going to a place where you got Desmond Ridder as your quarterback. You have an offensive coordinator that's going to run the ball probably 60-40. This kid might put up 1,500 yards rushing his rookie season. Because this offense likes to run it. It's just like Tennessee. He'll be there, Derrick Henry. The only difference is he'll be there, Derrick Henry, with a little bit more pop and wiggle at the line of scrimmage. That's the only difference. He's a factor back, in the words of Ron Jaworski and Merrill Hodge.
I found what you were saying about RG3. I found a tweet, so I got to go through the comments because there's a lot of people in the comments going.
Now, just go through his exchange with Denton Day first. You do that first, just for me.
If I can find it,
and we'll go through. I'll teach you what's up at, and just text me in the app. If you can't find it, I'll tag you in Denton's responses.
Okay.
I'll tag you along with it. Actually, you probably want to search it that way. It's probably gonna be easier if you search it Denton Day, because then you'll get all of his stuff with him and RG3 exclusively. That way you ain't got to go through the millions and millions of messages from RG3's page.
I think I found it.
Yeah. But that's not gonna work for us right now. So let's try to wrap this. Yeah.
I found it. All right, that's gonna be good reading while I get my peanut butter and jelly sandwich on.
Yeah, I'm gonna make me a Dagwood.
You said, oh, what?
A Dagwood.
Oh my God, I ain't heard that in years.
Yeah, About to throw me some cold cuts. Got some spicy mustard. Only thing I'm missing is my garlic mayo.
Have you you ever had what was that? Chipotle mayonnaise.
Yeah, I gotta find the right brand. So if you know a brand that's quality, let me know. Again, this is all stuff we can do on WhatsApp. We ain't gotta do that here.
Helmets.
Okay.
Well, you know, we always got to talk about food here. That's what we do. That's how.
So what I'm doing, I think it's either this weekend or next weekend, I'm gonna do a grilled chicken pita with garlic mayo, pico de gallo, and shredded lettuce.
Yeah, that sounds like an invitation.
Yeah,
that sounds like
it's a sandwich I eat at one of my places out in Alexandria, but I want to make it or try to make it, and see what happens. I did a chicken sandwich like a couple of weeks ago, but the bread was too soft, so the sandwich got a little soggy. But yeah, we got anything in the comments?
All right, we getting the
comments.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to it. It's kind of a little bit here. That good old. It's always when you're trying to do something, that's when the lag hit.
Yep.
About ribs.
It's on my side. Or maybe it's on his side. Oh, it's just the Midnight Rider. All right, guys. I don't know what's going on. If you're seeing this part, that means my internet is working and KG's is not working. So what I'm gonna do is tell you what we always say is that thank you for coming out. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for enjoying the show. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. So that way you can just see this whenever it pops up. You get the notification. If you're on Facebook, don't forget to comment whenever you hop in. We love the interaction. We love to be more interactive. In the words of, here he goes. He's back, or maybe not. In the words of the great John Thompson Jr. And Doc Walker, as the Sideline Junkies, I'm the guy, the Midnight Rider. He is the big guy, KG. And we don't do no overtime. So we are out of here.